Yeah, no problem. We are gonna let's get this thing cracking.
What's good going on? What's going on? What's going on?
You already know.
What's going on? What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It is your boy ABK, and we are going to be starting with the weekly analysis. I'm gonna go ahead and let Pay 10 Pips go ahead and do his thing. Give me about a couple minutes, and I'll be right back on, guys. With that being said, let's get to it.
Let's go. So, episode number 43. This is 43 nights in a row that we have been doing Chart Talk. We come on at least 1 hour every day, 30 minutes sometimes, 2 hours sometimes, right? And we look at the markets. We analyze every market pretty much. So If you do get some value from this, please drop a like and subscribe. We are almost to 300 subscribers. We're 2 subscribers away from 300. So without further ado, let's check out what these markets are doing. So right now, we should be able to see the screen I have here. And top left is the dollar. Then we have Bitcoin, gold, oil, and then we have the bottom is the S&P. This would be the volatility index. And so what we see this week, last week really, was not a whole lot of movement from the dollar. It rejected here in this area, but more or less not a whole lot of movement. Now, I do know it's NFP week. We have some other news coming in. I know the Fed is going to be speaking. So with that being said, the sentiment so far has been like the Fed is kind of doing their job, but the last couple numbers that have came out have been not the best. So I do think there's a possibility for the dollar to continue to rally, but the timing is fundamental timing is not Mark Douglas in Trading in the Zone talks about the fundamental gap. He uses a different word from it than that, but for lack of the perfect words that he says, it is basically it speaks about how you can know what the fundamentals are, you can know the sentiment in the market, but there is a lot of times the price action and the patterns that form in between when the fundamental sentiment is building and then when it's correct. And not always is there gonna be just this picture perfect trade right when like a news event happens. So that's something that I try to take into consideration with my trading. I always take into the consideration the fundamentals, but when there's when your edge presents itself in the market, I think it's definitely worth playing regardless if there's news or regardless whatever, right? So just risk management is a big deal when it comes to trading around news, and this week we have NFP. So with that being said, the dollar didn't do much last week. We'll go on to the lower time frames to look at it, but it didn't do much. Bitcoin, it's not trying to break 25K yet. It did put in another bearish week. It's coming into this value area, and you can see the majority of the volume right here since January 18th is sitting right here at this like 20K level. So my thoughts on Bitcoin is there is a lower time frame opportunity right now, since it is kind of inside of this bullish candle with high volume. But it does look like to me that we are going to come back down more or less into this area at like 19,000. And at that point, it's either going to hold here and make another move into an area, or it could just go sideways in this value area. So, Bitcoin, I'm most likely going to be looking for it to hold here and then move to the upside, hold around that 19,000 area, 19,200 area, and then move up. So, the crypto market, it started to look really strong and it just hasn't broke this area. But what you can see is the volume profile is saying there is not a lot to the upside here. So if we do end up breaking this high with, if price action comes into that level with volume coming into that level, do not expect it to hold. I would expect it to break at least 1,000 points up for just at least, and then from there on it's either going to reverse heavy or it's going to just shoot straight to this 30K 31K area. So that's Bitcoin. Let's look at gold. Last week on gold we had a bullish week. We could be seeing a possible correction on gold. So this so far, gold has given the best looking opportunity, right? With this bullish engulfing candle,
I am back,
not
by
as
the
much
way.
volume. Okay, cool. Not as much volume here with gold as you really want to see, but it is more than the previous week. So, there's a possibility for gold to start to correct here. Definitely depending on what the dollar does. Obviously, gold and the dollar are being are heavily correlated right now as gold moves up here. We have the dollar moving down here, and then we have just a couple of weeks of correction, So if the dollar makes a new low from last week, then gold is most likely coming up to make a new high. It already broke last week's low, so gold's showing that strength. Not last week's low, last week's high. So gold's already showing that strength here versus the dollar. And then we have oil over here. What if I go like this? Oh, it doesn't matter. I see what you're saying. Oh well. Okay, I got you.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's an oil thing.
Gotcha. Okay, well, let me just get into this stuff then. I just wanted to give it an easy look, but it's not going to work out with our faces in it, I guess. So let me just see the volume overall and everything. This right here is kind of what I want to look at mainly. Not mainly, but this big bearish candle on the VIX. That is a signal that the indices are most likely going to continue to the upside, which last week or the week before we were like, oh, we're looking for bears, and now this week it's like, ooh, that's tough because I mean,
when you get there,
you got to be able to just
for sure.
Yeah, it's tough. You have to react to the price action sometimes. You can't just stick to one bias. If the market tells you one thing and then it tells you another thing, you can't ignore it. It doesn't. I would definitely,
don't ignore it, but don't marry a bias. I think what you're trying to say.
Exactly. And so at this point, with how a lot of volume actually did step into the market here on NASDAQ, a little bit more on or less on the Dow, but more than the previous week. Same with S&P. It's interesting. I will say that NASDAQ is starting to look a little more bullish again. Just if this is holding this level right here that it came into, that will be interesting. And then the Dow just didn't want to break that level, and we'll see it on the lower time frames how it kind of zooted up out of there.
Yeah.
So
and just to tell you the way how you did that, actually, the Dow Jones and it was the VIX, but the way how you talked about it was visible.
Okay. Well, either way, I'm gonna quickly go over it on here. Just so we can kind of get some marked off levels now.
Yeah.
And I usually just delete everything, guys. But these are some levels that I believe are just still. So if this would just go away, that would be awesome. All right. So on the daily, real quick, we just looked at the weekly. So we're gonna go daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, maybe 15 minutes. We have this point of control for the year down here, and I believe it's this year. Yes. And we are still waiting for price to possibly get up into this 106.78 area. That would be like the next area if we break this zone. That hasn't happened yet, so we're not too worried about that. This year's point of control is also sitting to the downside right at this open week, but we're gonna keep it at that open week for now. Let's see, the 4 hour, which would be weekly volume, last week sits down here, or excuse me, it would be monthly volume. So this is that monthly point of control, still way down to the downside. These are two areas that I don't expect to get hit this week by any means, unless there is a shake in the market, which it could happen. We're going to look over here on the left now, and we have the market making higher highs, definitely. Okay, it is no doubt it's making these moves to the upside. I can't deny. A little bit of like the slower correction, it'll fairly break this 50 EMA and then continue up. It did it again here and it continued up. And last week, we marked off these two prices. We said there was an open day's volume, open day point of control, and this was the bottom of a value area. And both of those just held beautifully, just insanely beautiful. So right now, the trend for the month of February, which we're in March now, but the month of February was completely insanely bullish. One of the most bullish months, just completely erasing the bearish previous month. So that's a really wild. Good sign for the bulls, technically. Like a actual technical sign, not just technically, but we are seeing, you know, this possible slowdown here at this supply area. So this is the last area where the bears really stepped in and showed their, you know, proved their point, showed their teeth. And now we're kind of back in this area on the 4 hour, and we haven't yet broken it. So it's been a little. Let's go to the 1 hour. And, you know, the week before last, it made a nice bullish engulfing candle right into this area. And then last week, we've had kind of a correction. And you can really kind of just throw that weekly candle, whatever it made, you can just throw it out the window, because this is just a sideways, kind of sideways market, I would say. With it being more bullish than bearish, technically, which that's all we can really look at, I see a small opportunity here, but I would put it on a riskier side.
It's janky.
We have the ABC wave and then the move out that breaks structure in the smallest, slightest way. So if we are going to look at it,
sorry, my bad.
If we're going to look at it like this, and we have kind of a break of structure here, I'm looking for the market to continue to follow to the upside. Now, this type of move, you can't really anticipate that. There is nothing below this besides all of this way down there that would tell me the market would just so I'll be anticipating, you know, just like the market made a move up, ABC correction, and then broke the high of the ABC, but didn't break this high right here. We get the correction, and then we get another move up. So I'm looking for a correction and then another move up. Now, this ended up wicking out. Let's just hope there's not another wick like this that would wick this idea out before it moves up. But hey, you can't be scared.
And you know what's crazy? Your chart that you're using is ICUS. Let me go on my other laptop real quick, because I swear, or hold on, let me even just.
It's just a futures chart.
I'm not sure if I marked it down on the futures chart, but on the chart that I sent you, there is still one. Let me see, where's yours at? Yeah, you know, I still think that for some reason on your chart. Oh, it's because I'm using capital.com. That's why. That makes a whole lot of sense. But for capital.com, there's still untested volume that price barely missed. You know, where how yours was showing that it actually held. It's still showing that there's still a little bit downside, that it can still go and tap. And that's what that wick that you're talking about may very well be.
Interesting. Well, hey, if it does, it does.
But what you have marked up right now is exactly what I'm looking for. Because go ahead. I just wanted to point that out.
I'll be interested in this at least, but if it does do this, kind of break this and then come up like that again, then hey, maybe we'll try again. But for now, this is like the opportunity. I would say if I'm playing poker, this is like jacks. I got pocket jacks right here. And, and I'm playing that.
I like that. I'm playing that. I like that.
I'm playing that. So, you know, everything inverse of that, really, like EU would be this technically to the downside. It would be something like that. So it would be something like this on GU. It would be something like this on AU is a little bit, it would be like a fake move probably into this and then down, which is kind of tough. It's not as, the structure is way up here, so it might.
On FXCM for EU, I have 1.0667 as the point of control. So yeah, right exactly where you have that basically at.
I'm gonna actually look at this real quick, and then just because we have an opportunity for a trade, I'm just gonna run through the volume areas really quick on this. Okay, on the daily, it's way up high and then way down low for the yearlies. For the monthlies, we're to the downside and to the upside, but this one's a little interesting, kind of closer. Let's see if we get any right here. Okay, last week's is here, and there's not a lot of volume kind of above here. You can see that in the last 2 weeks. This area, low volume area here, and then low volume area here. So it's a tough sell in my opinion. Let me go 15-minute. I hate that the dollar looks really good for the buy. I mean, just like really, well, not like really. It's like pocket jacks.
But it's decent. It's
pretty. You gotta play jacks.
It's setting up. It's setting up pretty decently with the.
So
inverse.
half risk is all good.
Oh, that's all I can ever do right now, because as much as I'm confident in my strategy, I am negative, and so I have to play conservatively. That is what professional traders know how to do.
It's just what it is. It's smart. I'm looking at this thinking, I don't want to take the sell. We were looking for buys last week. I don't want to take the sell here. I mean, it's not like I don't want to, but what I was gonna say is, if it breaks this low, so if this sell does mess around and hold up here, and it breaks this low, freaking man, this thing it's either gonna fake or tank. There is this little baby area right here,
and equal lows.
So equal highs and equal lows. That's a weird little. That's why I don't love it. That's why it's kind of like, too much going on. Probably find a better setup somewhere else.
Or double top and triple bottom. Or triple bottom, double top. Sorry, I don't want to use somebody else's terms.
Okay, let's see here. The yen is actually in an interesting spot.
There, I was waiting for this.
Let's bring this guy like this. Okay, so last year's point of control for the yen, sitting relatively close to where price is. On the 4-hour, we're getting really close to January's point of control. And on the 1-hour, here's some weekly, and I haven't really labeled these, but that's fine. I'm just showing where the majority of the volume is. Now, this kind of pattern here is not necessarily giving me Wyckoff vibes, but it's showing me maybe one more move down, and it might just be giving me this type of vibes.
I agree. I do think that it can make one more push to the downside.
If we get that push to the downside and the volume remains up here for the week, or it remains close to last week's volume, which is this red line, then I think we have a case for trying to call the reversal or play a possible reversal move, maybe with GJ or UJ down here, because if the yen ends up coming down here for this week, it would, I'm not saying it would take all week, it doesn't have to, it could simply do this here.
There is definitely interest rate decisions for the JPY this week.
Oh really? Okay, so if they raise rates, this is gonna fly. And if they don't raise rates, the market is going to go crazy.
Yeah,
the whole market.
There's actually a decent amount of news this week. Not gonna lie, you might actually want to review, like, just go do a quick review for yourself. Like, I'm not talking about on here, but I'm talking about someone go do it on your own.
Happen half a week.
Dang.
So this already happened half of last week. You know what I'm saying? So, boom, it could just easily do it again, and then if that happens, if we see this sucker go down and up at the same time that the dollar goes like a little down and then really bullish, we're gonna see UJ fly if this thing starts to drop like this.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna see UJ flippy fly. Let me go look at the forex crypto news, blah blah blah. Okay, and why?
Right, bro. I hate when these websites do that. I'm like, why?
I don't get it.
Like, I don't like this stuff.
Let's see here. Okay, CPI news for CHF. Let's see what that starts to do. I'm not real interested in really the CHF. I trade USHF, but I only trade it during New York session. It is
definitely some other news that's not on.
Okay, they're raising rates for AUD, or they're supposed to be. That's good. This is going to be important as F. He's got something to talk about. He's gonna have to. He's most likely going to. He doesn't want to. It's gonna be hard for him, but he's gonna start to say some stuff that's gonna scare the markets, in my opinion, because if inflation doesn't slow down, which it started to tick back up a hair, and if unemployment gets out of mess, which it's gonna, they're going to raise rates more than they have been showing and planning out, and that is going to just murder the markets.
Quarterly numbers are going to be scary for unemployment, which he has to talk about. He has to talk about that. So it's going to be scary for the quarter. And that's where we're coming to an end to. We're coming to the end of the first quarter.
Ooh, the end of this month is going to be really important. Very important. Let's see. He's talking twice. Very interesting. He's talking Tuesday and Wednesday. This is going to shake the market. GDP for the GBP.
It's weird because on here it says it's just a press conference, but on my FX book is literally BOJ interest rate decision. Like on the same, and it's not tentative. It's at 9 p.m. our time.
Gotcha.
So that's something that you want to
look at both, definitely. Let's see. They're expecting a big miss in jobs, and they're expecting unemployment rate to stay at 3.4.
That's interesting.
Y'all serious? That's a crazy.
Hold on.
They're expecting it to stay at the all-time.
Same thing with my
50-year low.
Same thing with my FX book. Same. That's funny.
That's hilarious.
Because it's not gonna happen.
There's just, if it is, that's just doesn't make sense. That means there's like divergence in the numbers
and
of the fundamentals.
Joe Biden and them are gonna freaking try to flex with these numbers if it remains that way. They're gonna try to flex with that so hard.
Right? And a lot of that mess and effery is gonna start happening with them boys too, because of midterm elections. Mm-hmm. So I've already seen that happen once, and I know it's probably going to happen again.
In 4K. It's funny.
Crazy. Let's see. All right, let's look at gold.
Election years are weird.
At everything else, because I know gold has some opportunities. I really like the way that gold came out of, let's look at it on the daily real quick. I like the way gold came out of this after hitting this yearly point of control. Okay, so it hit last year's most traded price, and it said, "See ya."
I gotta go. I
So it gave
gotta go
a
pick something
reversal
up
pattern
at the store.
that
That's what it said.
it gave us a reversal pattern
Yeah. That's fine.
and said, "See ya."
It said I gotta go to the store real quick, and it's looking like it's not coming back. Dang, I don't mean to say it like that.
Yeah, I will only look for it if it comes back to this list price right here.
Yeah,
Like something around there will be something I'm interested in, maybe.
there has to be point of control down
but it's-
there. There has to be.
Let's see. 1 hour weekly point of controls. This is that yearly. I'm just gonna mark it as yearly. There's the week. It is saying that the last area of value is right here, so
I
that's
like
kind
that.
of
That's very nice.
good. 15 minutes. Let's see if there's any daily point of controls down there. I would say no. Just
It's just value.
this one. It's just value down there. So,
Or you know what?
would
How do you
maybe
feel? I have a
consider-
question because this is something that I was back testing, and I was like, I wanted to ask you to see what your opinion was. Go back to that 15-minute real quick. And zoom out. So, you see this point of control right here? Price was right here, and then it came and tested. It came in and retested that volume, and then went bullish, right? If let's say that if price just kept going and it was consolidating, and then on the next day opening it consolidated and then went bullish, would you reconsider that point of control there because price was just like sliding into that the very next day?
I see what you're saying. What I would say compared to what you're trying to, not trying to say, but what you said, I would say regardless, there is a point of control here from this full day and a control here from this full day. So what it says regardless is there is volume there. There was, volume there for 2 days in a row. Regardless if price did this or not. Now, does it if it would have just did this again and then just gone up, it most likely would have left another point of control down here, and that doesn't always happen, but since there was 2 here already, there is still like
interest, value.
It still holds weight. I would just say it's just not that like strategy that we just drop the line and have the price there.
Okay, gotcha.
If price is to get there, I'm like, yo, there is some confirmation here.
There's something here.
Versus it getting like into this level, and you know, this is kind of probably the price a lot of people are going to be looking for.
Yep.
I think if it gets here, it's probably going to slide straight into the next area of like volume because there's not a lot of anything right here. So we'll see. It's kind of a, I don't love gold like everyone else does, but I will say that it's kind of setting up. It did just kind of break this level right here.
Yeah, pretty decently.
Interested to see what the result is going to be right there, if it's going to come and get this level, or if we're going to see like a really big move on gold. I'm not really feeling that. I'm actually seeing some divergence on this break, and the volume's rather low, so we might get a correction. We'll move, and it would have already been hitting for pretty nice, but we'll probably see a little correction back to this level on gold. I'm not really here for it. It didn't. I'm a wave trader, right? So if it doesn't give me the correct wave that I need to see for the next wave, then it's kind of just like, this was the next wave right here that it's creating, and it didn't give it to me where I needed it. So most likely going to be sitting out on gold this week unless it creates some other type of pattern.
I feel that.
And then Bitcoin, before we get to the indices, it is literally right at the area where I wanted to buy from, but I'm just going to be honest.
We would have been waiting 3 days on one trade. I think we were okay with not being in this. You know what I mean? I think we're okay with not being in this, especially how long it's taken. Like, I'm okay with rather playing something on the lower time frame, which we could have played yesterday, but
Yeah. Chart Talk, I called a trade out yesterday, and
very
it would have
nice.
been like a
1 to
little
3.
1 to 3. It's not going to show it on this chart actually because it wasn't over the weekend, but we're getting a lot of sideways movement right now in Bitcoin in an area where it could move up. So what that tells me is there is a possibility for the bulls to come in here, but we're most likely gonna see a fake move down first and then the instant reversal. And that's just kind of how Bitcoin likes to move. Let's just kind of look at what it does here. You can see right before it moves, a big move up, it's always like a fake move that takes out lows. Okay. And then also we have this open weekly point of control sitting here. So it would make a lot of sense for the market to come get this, take out a lot of people who are probably buying here with buy stops here. I would like to see the market kind of fake out one more time to the upside, dip down into this area. At that moment, there might be a trade opportunity, but it's very risky. It's everything with Bitcoin is very risky, but to find the stop loss on that that's the risky part, because if you put it here, there is still a little bit of volume right below that hasn't been tapped as well. So it's a tricky entry. That's why being a little patient and waiting maybe for a good amount of confirmation is okay. So how I'm looking at it personally, how I think this could play out is this trend line's looking beautiful, but I'm not a trend line trader. I do think it's enticing a lot of bulls. I think that trend line is building a case for the bulls, which I need to see some bulls kind of get liquidated at first. I need to see a little bit of liquidity get built up here and then kind of get wrecked. I also want to see the bears here kind of get ruined, thinking that the market, they just saw this big candle that broke structure. Now they're thinking it's going to continue down. So I do want this to get swept out as well. So I want to see a move up, then a move down, and then a possible shift here for the Wyckoff accumulation finish. It'd be the spring of the Wyckoff. So we do have a baby bit of accumulation here. It looks a lot better on some of the other Bitcoin chart. Let me just look at that real quick. A lot more accumulation here, which is good. It actually brought the weekly point of control to the downside, which I guess that's good in a way, because the majority of the volume is here. So it will give us a clue if price does sink down like I want it to, and then swoops back up above this point of control. Essentially, once it gets back above that, we should be seeing it head to the next area of open volume, which at this point, this volume's already tested. So
you gotta go check it out. 15.
Could be like that, and then it could be lower. 15 minute would be the area, but either way, it's still an opportunity. My divergence senses are tingling with this one. We have the big move down and we have no correction at all. So I mean, a sideways correction is what I should say, but we are, if we get this pump down, my divergence fib is coming straight at 21,600. So on the futures chart, something is hitting for 21,600 is the open week point of control on the futures chart. So it's definitely a shot I'm looking to take at this. Just the stop loss placement is a little sketchy because on both charts, this point of control is still, it's still here. It hasn't been touched yet.
And if you measure that down move that price just made, it literally gets to down there high.
Like this?
Yeah.
Let's see. It just depends on where it corrects to. But if it moves from here, then
yeah, exactly.
Coming straight down. But if it corrects up first,
then
it's whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting play. You can't. I would say if you're thinking about taking a loss, you're probably gonna take the loss. So you either should take the trade or don't think about the loss. Assess your risk and go for it, because you can't go, oh, it could have done this, it could have done that. That's my biggest problem as an analyst. I see two opportunities. So what that means is if price gets here, I'm going to take one shot. If I fail here, I take another shot. If I fail here, I don't have another play, really. I just don't. So, but you have to know that if you lose this one, you really have to kind of take this one. You really do. No matter what at that point, because if not, you're going to be scared to take this one, thinking this one might get hit. And then when this one gets hit and it moves your way, you can't do all that. So you just kind of have to assess your market and go. If the market does come into this area, I'm not going to look for sells, just because this is too bullish and this is a perfect correction low key. I'm kind of not like disappointed I don't have a limit order here, but I've already assessed this volume down here, so I just didn't want that limit order here. But I'm starting to feel like we're most likely going to get.
I personally feel like we're gonna see price get up to at least like 23,500. Like that's where I'm kind of looking at price to get into, and then like I probably will take a shot at a sell, like more than likely.
I'm looking at the market starting to do this, and then yesterday on the channel I even showed how at the beginning of the stream I even showed how this fractal, this could be breaking down to be making new lows for sure. But I'm gonna, until this low and this low kind of gets smothered, I'm really more bullish than anything. If I'm going like way low time frames here, I would say if the market does get into this price before it gets into this price, I would look for the sell. But if we get into this price first, then this sell idea is just
I feel that. That makes sense. Like it's
because this is valid for the sell, but it's just tough when it comes right off of that macro fib level.
No, I feel that for sure. It is tough. It does make it tougher.
But I see it on the lower time frames. I just like the way the higher time frames are almost giving the bulls some love. And then another reason why I would like to see this go not like that, actually. I would like to see this go like this, then this, is because on the indices, I'm also looking for them to do this, then this. So that would make sense. Bring the market down first and then up, and then bring this market kind of down first and then up ultimately. So let's go and there's a lot of volume here, but let me look at the daily first. See where this really stopped at and what the momentum's looking at. Okay, we're coming into this 50 EMA. The market's been a little sideways. It doesn't mean much. There's definitely this yearly point of control still up here. That's interesting. Let's put that on there. Open year POC. 4 hour, you cannot deny that type of bullish price action. Regardless of how the volume looks, that's a big bullish signal. we do get increasing volume, but it's not as much. I will say this type of volume down at the bottom of a trend is a climactic volume, meaning it's over. And yeah, so that was kind of giving that away. So that's kind of increasing volume off a climactic move. That's a very bullish signal with increasing volume. Yeah. This is going to be the move though, ultimately on a macro perspective. That's what I'm going to be looking at with the job numbers expecting to get worse. But with that gap that I spoke about at the beginning of, that fundamental gap that might be there, I think this can still go up first, but then people are going to be like, wait a second, this is too high. And then it's going to just tank. And it kind of has done that in the past, a lot. So, I expect it again, especially with this volume right there. It's beautiful. And it is not, wait, that's the same spot?
Yep.
Oh wow, interesting. So it's open yearly volume and open monthly volume from January. So that's lovely.
It is the same exact spot. That's exactly what I got to.
This is going to be an area to look for buys.
Yep.
Open monthly. It's actually the current month, so we're getting some imbalance.
Wait,
to start
that's the current? Yeah, it is the current month. You're right there, man.
So the market is already imbalanced. You can see how this month closed. It closed right here, right there. And this point of control for the month was still way up here. So this last month closed super imbalanced, and look how it just starts. It's like, okay, whoa, we need to start the balance back. It's going straight to this area, I'm sure. I don't know. It needs to correct, but there's no divergence. The
I'm
1
extra
hour
down for the buys if it gets down to that current month.
And it's last week's point of control, which makes sense because last week started last month. So this is just a heavy area to look for buys for sure. And if we throw that fib on there, I'm sure it's right at it.
Right there.
Yeah. Well, no matter what, I'm probably buying at that level. Just almost no matter what. And man,
if I do remember correctly, last week in the chat, you did say if prices turn around and hit our stop loss on a trade, that you're going to be bullish next week or the next day on Dow Jones. It wasn't the next day, but it was the next week. I remember that specifically.
That's wild. Well, now we're definitely here. I will be starting to see when this does show signs of a correction because it needs to correct. But right now it's showing basically the next pullback it gives. It most likely is not going to come this deep just because there isn't really
slowing down
anything slowing it down yet. Yeah. Exactly. So like probably going to get a shallower retracement, maybe even right when it taps this 50 EMA, because when you get that big of a move, first of all, you don't see them very often.
You don't.
Second of all, when you get that big of a move, it's like the first time the market taps the 50 EMA, there's usually a reaction. And it's hard to explain that to beginner traders because they see the strategy as like, when the market breaks the 50 EMA and then it comes back into the 50 EMA, you buy it. It's like, no, you have to know.
Who did the voice and everything?
You have to know the speed and the momentum of the market. So I will maybe try to find some type of lower time frame move tomorrow for this.
I mean, yeah, on the 15-minute, there's a fib. Like if you take it from that previous higher low to the higher high
divergence right here, so we should see this actually correct below this probably, and then come right into that 50 EMA because we're getting like 3 wave on the 15-minute.
Oh yeah, that's untested volume down there. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was talking about. Like there's a play right there. I didn't even see that when I was doing my analysis earlier. Down
open day. So yeah, that's gonna be the play for sure. Bringing. And it's gonna be tough if the market kind of.
Now I got 3 setups to play on freaking Dow. Fuck me.
if the market kind of comes down here and then just swoops down and does that, that would be tough.
But
that
you
would just
kind
be
of have to
another
play
play,
that
just
other
like
one.
Bitcoin. That would just be like Bitcoin. You got to play both.
Yeah.
It is what it is. They're both good looking setups, coming down into here and then playing this move up, that looking for that open day. Or if it, fails, boom, comes down, that would be an even better look. So that's what we're going to be looking for on that. I'm not even really going to go over these because they're so bullish. They're all the same.
They're all the
They all
same,
look very
literally,
similar,
except just different placements of the point of control.
Yeah, they're all exactly the same. And in fact, S&P held so nicely off its 4-hour fib here. So this is just like a macro setup on top of a intraday setup. If it does come back down into here, I'll be looking for this to hold and then roll up. But here's the thing. If the Fed comes out and they say some shit and mess all this up, this thing could and just roll down straight up, just like everything's throw it out the window. But well, we need to see that before it happens, right? I'm not predicting that. I'm predicting kind of this. I'm basically predicting that the Fed this week isn't going to say anything bad. The numbers are going to come out okay, and everything's going to be kind of peachy key this week. That's kind of what I'm looking at, because if not, then these things, I think next week is going to be the week that these prices, these bad boys get up into these prices to look to short. Let's go back to Dow, because that's when we're really looking for the short. We're looking for the Dow for the short more than anything. And if this comes down here this week, I think we're going to get something like this for this week. But then now we have a setup for the next week to the downside, for the complete ABC pattern.
I like that
on this.
That'd
and this lines up as well. The open yearly lines up as well. There's also an open monthly up here, open weekly, all that jazz. So it's going to be
for sure.
Timing this, how it gets where. I don't want to try to predict how the market moves. I like to just react. I like to have my areas, and when price gets there, see when there's some confirmations. If it's starting to feel like the market could do something else, and it's in an area that I have already analyzed and already said, hey, I've been patient, the market's here now, it doesn't look good, well then half risk. There's no reason to not half risk a position if you have analyzed it and it has, the type of analyzing that we do, at least, very patient, very much of a macro type of look, waiting for the micro to set up. You can't be scared to take a trade. So with that being said, that's going to be it for Chart Talk tonight.
All right.
Some good setups. We'll be looking at the setups directly tomorrow, more or less. AB is going to really dive in on that for us maybe tomorrow. For the clean intraday setups, maybe some swing trades. We'll see.
We'll see what goes on. But with that being said, guys, don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to subscribe. And if there's
almost to 300,
and guys, go ahead and drop a comment if you guys want to see some other type of content. Like, let us know what you guys want us to go over, because if there's some things that you guys want us to go over specifically, we have no problem doing that at all. But we just need to know what you guys want to see, So let us know, give us some feedback, and then we'll be able to, see what we can cook up for y'all. But with that being said, anything else that you want to add, P?
Nope. I'll see y'all tomorrow.
All right, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Later.